The invisible leak. How admin drag is quietly draining your profit margins. In the 2026 disability care landscape, profit is not something to apologise for. Profit is what funds quality. It pays for experienced staff, solid systems, proper supervision, and the capacity to do this work well without burning people out. And yet many providers are sitting with full rosters, high billable hours, busy teams, and a bank balance that still feels uncomfortably tight. Nothing looks broken on the surface, but something is leaking underneath. What most providers are dealing with is not overspending or undercharging. It's admin drag. Admin drag is the slow, invisible drain created by inefficient sequences, duplicated effort, and manual workarounds that were never designed to scale. It's not dramatic, it's not one big mistake. It's death by 1,000 small inefficiencies. If you have ever reached the end of a month where everyone was flat out, the work was delivered, the invoices went out, and yet the actual profit left in the business felt disappointing, this conversation is for you. Because when the numbers do not match the effort, there is almost always a structural leak somewhere in the system. In 2026, admin drag is quietly killing margins across the sector, and you cannot care your way out of a broken sequence. Admin drag is not just a financial issue, it's a physical one. It feels like moving through thick water. You are working hard, but everything takes longer than it should. You notice it late in the afternoon when you realize the day has disappeared into paperwork rather than leadership. You feel it in your shoulders when you are still retyping information that already exists somewhere else. You feel it when small admin tasks keep interrupting your thinking space. The most common source of this drag is double handling. Information is written once, then typed again, a form is completed, then scanned, then renamed, then uploaded. A note exists in one system, but billing needs it in another. Every time information is manually moved from one place to another, you pay a tax. A tax in time, a tax in focus, a tax in error risk. In 2026, this is not just inefficient, it is structurally unsafe. Every manual step increases the likelihood of missed claims, rejected invoices, or compliance gaps that only surface when it is too late. Think about the experience of a rejected payment. It is not just the delayed cash. It is the investigation, the backtracking, the emails, the re-entry of data. That entire loop is the cost of admin drag catching up with you. If you want to protect your margins, the first step is not a spreadsheet review. It is a friction audit, not a financial one, a lived one. Ask your team where the work feels heavy. Where do they feel they are doing the same thing twice? Where does the process slow them down instead of supporting them? Where do mistakes keep happening even though people are trying? Friction usually lives in transition points, between intake and service delivery, between progress notes and billing, between rostering and payroll. You do not need to fix everything at once. That creates more weight. You need to identify the one point that creates the most drag and address that first. Removing friction does not just save time, it returns energy, it reduces errors, it creates momentum. When a team feels a process becomes smoother, confidence increases. People stop bracing against the system and start trusting it. There is still a belief in parts of this sector that automation makes services less human. The opposite is true. Automation, when done properly, is a safety feature. When a system tracks expiry dates automatically, staff are not carrying that mental load. When balances are calculated in real time, leaders are not constantly checking spreadsheets. When alerts replace memory, pressure drops. That reduction in pressure matters. If your team is spending their energy managing admin, They have less capacity for presence, judgment, and care. Automation does not replace people. It protects them. A strong business uses technology to hold the logic so humans can focus on the relational work that cannot be automated. The system carries the structure. The people carry the care. Many providers focus on the final product, the report, the invoice, the audit file, but admin drag starts at the input. If 5 staff record information 5 different ways, admin teams spend hours translating instead of processing. That translation work is invisible, exhausting, and expensive. Standardized inputs change everything. Clear intake sequences, consistent progress note structures, defined incident reporting workflows. When information enters the system cleanly, everything downstream becomes easier. Billing happens correctly the first time. Reporting becomes faster. Compliance evidence builds itself naturally. Clean inputs create clean outputs, and clean outputs protect profit without extra effort. The 2026 pricing environment leaves no room for inefficiency. Margins are tighter, compliance expectations are higher. Labor costs continue to rise. If your systems feel heavy, every new participant adds pressure instead of profit. This is where many providers get stuck. They think growth will fix the problem, but growth magnifies admin drag. More clients through broken systems does not increase margin. It drains it faster. Profit is not something you find at the end of the year. It is something you protect every day by tightening the way work moves through the business. Profit funds quality. It funds supervision. It funds training. It funds sustainability. Ignoring the logic of your infrastructure puts all of that at risk. One of the biggest sources of admin drag is fragmented information. The roster says one thing, the worker diary says another, the billing platform says something else. Time is lost reconciling versions of reality. A single source of truth changes the experience completely. Information is entered once. The data flows through the system. Notes trigger billing. Billing matches rosters. Reporting aligns automatically. This is not complexity. It's about flow. When the system works, you stop searching for answers. You start witnessing clarity. Fixing admin drag requires a leadership shift. Not more effort, different focus. Every time you personally fix a broken process, you delay the moment the system improves. It feels helpful in the moment, but it locks the business into manual survival. Your role is not to be the best admin worker in the room. Your role is to design the sequence so admin does not need heroics. That is the difference between running a service and leading a business. A service survives day to day. A business builds structures that last. Pick one repetitive admin task that happens every week. Time it. Then ask one simple question. Does this genuinely require human judgment? If the answer is no, or only because systems don't connect, you have found a leak. Mapping that leak does not require new software today. It requires awareness. Once the leak is named, it can be fixed. That shift alone moves you from busy to intentional, from effort to design, from pressure to leadership. If you are building a disability care business and want it to feel calmer, clearer, and financially steadier, hit subscribe. This space exists for providers who want structure without losing heart, logic without losing humanity, and business that can actually sustain the work they care so deeply about. Let's stop the leaks. Let's build systems that hold the weight properly. And let's make sure the work you are doing has the fuel to continue. We will keep having these conversations together.